Good evening, all. Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF wrap-up for a pretty wild trading day on this Wednesday, and we are now at the 19th of January, 2022. So I look at today and I'm going, wow, it was a battle all day. And at the end of the day, there was capitulation in all the stock indices. They did their darn best to hold their first challenges in the stock indices of their lower Bollinger Bands, and they're still holding it. I don't want to give you the impression they've walked away from it, but it was lost. You got a 10% correction phase now going into the NASDAQ. Tonight, in my full futures reports, I give some tables to my traders. I haven't even published it yet, and it's about 8 o'clock. I'll go out in a few minutes here. And I show them what to expect typically off of a break like this. And no, just because you're down 10% doesn't mean you just turn the corner immediately and have to go up. But typically, you do move higher unless you enter a super bear year. And that becomes the question. Is the Fed going to destroy the bull market by too many interest rate hikes, or the market thinking they're going to do a lot of interest rate hikes? That becomes one question. Is inflation going to keep running to force the Fed to do that or back off to some degree? What happens now with the United States and Russia and NATO? Because that today to me was a blunder. I mean, you talk about blunders. How could President Biden hold in a 2-hour news conference and say, when asked about if Russia crosses the border, well, if they go a little bit into the southern edge, that might be okay. We might not have to go with everything that we've got planned. I don't even know where to go with that. This is our commander-in-chief? Okay, I am critical. I mean, the one thing you should be doing is commander-in-chief. They don't dare do that, otherwise they're going to get the full sanctions of the United States. NATO's behind it. Not if you cross over to this area, you're okay. And that was my interpretation. If I'm wrong, write me, correct me, okay? It's not what I heard, but I'm older. I heard things. Gold took off to the upside today. Combination of inflation. Wheat took off today. Oil was up. So I started saying that's partly inflation and partly the Russian situation. I had that pegged, and then that news conference sort of did it for me. The other parts of the market, you can see most of the indices are down. But let's go to the chart. Why am I starting off with Freeport McMoran? And here's the reason why. China changed the game. China, on Wednesday, actually for them, remember the time differences, they came out and they said, we're going to do something a little different. Monies that people put up in escrow, instead of it just sitting there where the local managers, not of the property developers, but of the government, they're holding that money in escrow. That money can now be used to pay expenses for materials and certain expenses to develop the property. Certain, not foreign debt, certain. They'll get more and more into that. That took the copper market and was immediately friendly on the futures. You didn't quite get that action, though, on this part of it. The pure play on Freeport didn't do that. The copper was up 8-9 cents a pound. Interesting. When you take a look at the chart, it's still bullish unless you get back under this low right here, which is 43.06. So barring that, the pattern of higher lows, higher highs is certainly at work. The support, unfortunately, is under that number. So while there's support at 42.48, you would break the bull pattern. So that's not a number I want to see hit at this point in time. And I got why the copper here, the Freeport, ran into its trouble. See the black line, the Bollinger Band? You only stay over the Bollinger Band 5% of the time. It's like an invisible wall that comes up and it stops it. So as friendly as it is, I think the pros are taking money off the table against it. And are they taking it all? Yeah, that's the problem. If you were embedded, which means the blue and the red lines going sideways over 80, I would think they're taking pieces. I don't see that. Apple did pretty much what I was looking for. Again, we were talking all week long. This is last Friday. Then we made a run for the market yesterday. The low 169.41, lower Bollinger Band not hit. Now, thank you, you've hit that band. So that's a support zone, but the trend is clearly to the downside. You could head in this market back to the 157.70 level if the whole stock market wants to take on a bearish bent. And that's what you've got to be careful of. You are oversold. I don't see aggressive shorts coming out unless you got people that are long and just want to bail on the market. I don't see new short selling off a pattern like that. In XLF, the financial system, well, we saw the banks now report. I don't think they were that good. I think that there was a lot of, what's that about? Trading looked pretty good at a lot of them, but lending is questionable. Higher high, lower low. I look for support starting right now at the 39.12 area right here, all the way down to this level. And no, I don't think this is a market you want to get overly bearish about, but it could have a run on you, just the way Disney is. You know, if you're looking at the airlines, jets, they're all in trouble. I mean, Omicron is the problem. It's keeping even out when people want to fly the cruise. They can't get the cruise there to run it. You can't get the cruise in hospitals. They're sending in in my area here in Chicago, I believe it's the University of Illinois, the Far South Hospital that they have. They have to get in some of the, from what I saw, National Guard people because too many people got sick to take care of the sick people there. That's not good. That's what we're dealing with. And they're saying in the local news tonight that our Omicron is peaking right now. In fact, it may have peaked. So we're looking at the worst, and maybe we're going to go down that roller coaster ride to the other side. FB Meta platforms, you're at a support zone. I don't see the traders getting overly aggressive, but there's no reason to be a buyer. You have a bear market. The question is, it's gotten a bit oversold. You need rallies to sell into. The industrial sector gave up everything. Notice where it's stopping. Again, the Bollinger Band, the 100-day average, the 200. It's a very hard number to push against and not trending. In the semiconductors, getting smashed. And the word is smashed. They're getting hit hard right now. Some of them are down, if you look at individual ones, 15, 20%. We're going to, apparently, it was in Reuters today, I believe, that the Biden administration has met with the U.S. semiconductor companies and key computer manufacturers to not sell Russia chips or other products, just like President Trump did with Huawei, if Russia invades the Ukraine. It's one of the other things that he's now discussing. He told them they have to be ready to stop immediately if that occurs. So you've got that, but markets under selling pressure. Same thing here in XHB, and yet you had good house numbers today. If you looked at the starts and the permits that came out, they blew the numbers out. Market couldn't stay up. Why? Because interest rates have the market's attention. And as you get into this phase of rising interest rates without the Fed coming to the market rescue, this time the enemy is the Fed. They were on this side. They were going to save you. If you break, don't worry about it. We'll keep an easy money policy. Now they're saying, no, we got full employment. We have another mandate. That's inflation. That inflation's up, folks. We got to fight it. Boom. That's your enemy that's going on right there. On the energy market, you know, at some point you can have a break, but why? It's still in pretty darn good shape. You're getting your first little pullbacks. But until the red line of this closes under 79, I think the pros keep buying. Gold, GDX, and GLD took off to the upside today. They ended. I just want to show this prior to today. You had lower highs, a lower low pattern with a stall. Today's action just completely annihilated the pattern. Bang, you're back into a bull pattern now until you take out the lows of yesterday, and that number was 30.48, and this just came out of left field, but I gave you the reasons that I think. I think with the meeting between Sergey, Larikov and Anthony Bilden, they're so similar, the names. I don't think anything's going to come of that. Other than if Anthony's listening to the president, he's going to say, you see that South area, those 100,000 acres, maybe 200,000, you can have those. That's pretty much what I heard today. I fell out of my chair when I was listening to it. In GLD, down to the 18-day average of closes, back up to the upper Bollinger Band, out of the downtrend, but not, and it's been out of the downtrend, but it's not in an uptrend just yet. The mining stocks still getting hit and pulling back, though, to key support at the 18-day average. Any goes under that, and you got to get bearish if that occurs, thinking you might be headed here. It's a dangerous time to be trying to buy any of these as we're waiting for the Fed to go further and further. You know, there is a Fed meeting in January. So at that meeting, we're going to hear some talk as to what goes on. They're in the quiet period now. That's why you're not hearing from anyone. In copper, this is copper itself, COPX, you can see it was up on the day, but you didn't get that out of Freeport, so I wanted to show that. In TLT, higher high, lower low. How can you be bullish this market with interest rates staring you in the face? They're going to go up, and we don't know how many times. So as this market rallies, the pattern's probably just going to be one where you keep getting sold. And last, in the euro currency, go look at my metal report. You want to do it. Now, my video report is free for you to see at www.iraepstein.com, and it's under market research. In addition, tomorrow, I'm going to be on Fox Business News, and that'll be about 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I hope you tune in. I'll put on one of my pretty shirts. If you want to look at the video report, by the way, you can also just take your cursor, move it up, and at the top, an icon will appear up there. Just click on it, and you'll get right into it. I'm Ira. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all tomorrow.